Before we get to the summer of 2023, it was my goal to finish my summer 2022 Mochi Things Notebook. I can officially say that this project is completed, and today I'm excited to open this up and show you everything that I created inside, in addition to offering my thoughts on what it was like to create an album like this and if I would make one again. The Mochi Things Scrap Notebook is a spiral-bound notebook that comes with pages that have a grid format already set up for you, which makes it a really easy plug-and-play type of notebook to work in. I had seen this from a fellow scrapbooker, Heba El-Sabai, who is My Little Journal on YouTube. I'll link her in the description box down below in case you want to go and check out some of her layouts that she's done as well. In seeing Heba use this notebook and then having the ads constantly pop up in my Instagram and Pinterest feed, I decided to give it a go, but I wanted to have a specific purpose for the book itself. With summer coming up, I figured that seemed like the perfect thing to do. A fun way to change up my documenting style for a season and tell the stories associated with what our family did in those summer months. My original intention with this notebook was to tell stories from June, July, and August of 2022. I successfully documented the month of June, and I actually had designed my layouts and gotten everything ready, did all of my journaling, set it all up, and had it ready to go through the end of June, and then kind of dropped it after that. I never designed anything for July or August, and then by the time I was ready to go back and finish the album in March of 2023, I don't really remember what happened in July. And at this point, it's already been documented in my project life and in some of my story albums. So I didn't feel the need to go back and add those 2 months into this notebook. So I then decided to change this from an entire summer project to just the month of June. So this little notebook here, which is yay thick, holds a story for practically every day of June and just the month of June for the summer of 2022. Let's go ahead, head over to my desk and dive into this book so you can see what this looks like. All right, friends, let's jump into my Summer Stories June 2022 notebook. Right off the bat, I do want to say that I will have this particular notebook and the spirals that I used to rebind the notebook and some of my favorite supplies that I used throughout this notebook that you'll see in here. All of that will be linked down in the description box down below. I'm not going to link up all of the individual stamps that I used because there are just so many of them, but I will have a list of all of my favorite shops where I buy my stamps from. So if you're looking for stamps to add into your supplies, that will be a great place for you to look for resources on shops to go and check out. All right, so right off the bat, I did go ahead and cover up the front portion of this notebook. It said something on it like Mochi Things, or it had branding on it that I didn't want. So I covered that up with some pattern paper, stamped my own title on this instead added a couple doodles, and then called that a day. I did also rebind this. It came originally with a much smaller spiral bind, and I needed something a little bit fatter so I could fit more into my notebook and it could still lie flat. On the inside here, I've got my reason why. This was an album that I was putting together to document the summer months. I only ended up documenting one summer month, as we talked about before, but I still wanted to have my reason why I was putting these stories in a separate album instead of putting them in with the albums that I had currently had in progress to that point in time. I decorated the inside cover with some, this was actually something that came in a mailer from an Extravagant Hope mailer. Everything else was pattern paper or digital stamps or, just supplies I had on hand. Then we jump into the first day of summer, which happened to be June 2nd. This was my daughter and my son's last day of school. I have pictures of both of them from their last day of school and talking about celebrating the start of summer. As I worked through this album, you'll see that I do often add in full page photos because I love photo enlargements. So that's part of the way that I designed this book. And then you'll also see instances where I used the boxes to decide where my pieces were going to go. And sometimes I broke the rules and added some pieces outside of those boxes as well, or came up with my own designs that I was going to do. June 3rd, we took the kids on a surprise trip to Cedar Point, and this is telling the story of spending the day in the park. One of my favorite layouts from this whole album, because this was one of my favorite days from the whole summer, and I just think it turned out really, really super cute. Next, I have the story from June 4th here on the left side. This was just about coming home and being exhausted after being at Cedar Point for a whole day and just relaxing at home. Then for June 5th, I have a story of my husband making some pancakes, just a weekend type of routine for us. He loves making us breakfast on the weekends, and I loved getting that captured in this album or in this notebook as well. Then I've got a story about making cookies with the kids, so baking with mom, and we just made some chocolate chip cookies and enjoyed that here at the house. And then the kids started their first day at summer school. My son, this was his first time going into what would eventually become his preschool. So he's still at this current school now. My daughter just went throughout the summer months so that she had something to do while my husband and I worked from home. Then I've got another one of those full page photo layouts. This is a double page talking about my kids enjoying the day over at my parents' house. They have a blow up hot tub that they bring out in the summertime, and the kids had a blast playing in the hot tub. In the meantime, my mom had taken pictures and sent these to me because I was not here for this. So I just got these via text and then ended up printing them off and telling the story of fun in the hot tub. Then I've got a story about our first family vacation, well, technically our second family vacation of the season. This time we went up north to northern Michigan to stay on a cabin that was on Lake Huron. So I've got a page about playing in the sand, being on the beach. The first day we were there. The second day we played a bunch of board games, and I've got that documented here. The third day we went downtown to a little downtown called East Tawas. It's really cute, and enjoyed the time there. Went to a candy shop, got some corn dogs by the lake, and just had the best time. Also, love these photos. I absolutely love the photos from summertime because they're just so bright and colorful, and it makes me happy to go back and look at them. The next day we went on a nature hike. So we looked up some trails and went to go take the kids on a hike and just get out of the house and have some time separate from the other family that came with us, just because sometimes being cooped up in a house together for an extended amount of time leads to the kids bickering and, so we all needed a break from each other. So we took the kids on a hike and they went and did an activity with their family, and it was the perfect break. It was just what we needed. This was our last day. This was actually on our way back to go home. We stopped at the East Tawas downtown again and had some time playing on the playground. And then we also walked way out onto the pier to just see, what was at the end, which ended up being this high five thing, which we thought was funny. So high five, right? And then just enjoyed being by the water. Once we were home the following day, we took a trip down to our own downtown, walked down there to go get some ice cream. So this was us getting ice cream. There is this little interactive piece up here where I could have added a photo to the backside. I probably should have, but it's okay. And this was to talk about the ice cream that we ordered, which was the unicorn swirl, and kind of giving it some ratings, which was really fun. Then we attended our local LGBTQ festival in our own downtown and just have some pictures from there, especially with the roses. We loved the roses that they were giving out. the rainbow, you know. And then the next day we had some friends over for a play date, one of my daughter's best friends from school and their family. Next, we've got a day where we just spent a day at my brother and sister-in-law's house with our niece. They have a trampoline in their backyard, so I captured some pictures on the trampoline. Some of these are so funny, like just the funniest pictures I've ever seen, and I love them. So I've got those captured on here again, you know, with the large photo and then a bunch of the small ones, and I really, really, really love the way that that pairs together. And then we go opposite, right? So small pictures and then a big picture over here, documenting a pool party at my cousin's house. By this time, my uncle and his family had come into town for the first time in years. So we spent the next couple of days all together, and it was really fun and a time of our lives that I'm so glad to have documented in this way. Then June 20th actually coincided with the first day of Week in the Life for 2022, which is a project led by Allie Edwards, where you deep dive into a week in your life. Now, I do document Week in the Life, and I have this week deep dive documented. In fact, I believe the replay is also available here on my YouTube channel, and I will link that up in the cards for you if that's something you're interested in seeing. But I wanted to tell some of the little tiny stories here as well. So I've got, you know, just playing in our backyard on the swing set and having a good time. My daughter had also gotten her hair done this day, so just having some of these pictures in here. The next day we went to our old downtown to enjoy playing on the play set, get some ice cream, that sort of thing. It's summertime, so we get ice cream all the time in the summer, because, you know, that's what summers are for. Then we went up to a town called Frankenmuth here in Upper Michigan. Well, it's kind of mid-Upper Michigan. And this is I believe it's the largest Christmas store in the world, but it could just be in the United States. I could be exaggerating that, and I can't really remember. I can't remember if it's the largest of where. But anyway, it is an enormous Christmas store that we have. One of the biggest attractions of Frankenmuth is to go to the store. And my cousin, who had come into town with my uncle's family, had never been to Bronner's before. So we as a family decided to go and spend a day at Bronner's and just give him the experience of seeing what this place is like. My cousin is a year younger than my daughter, so he's like full of that childhood wonder and stuff too. So it just made it all very, very fun. Next, I have a layout documenting my plants. This is just part of my life, right? Plants is just a part of what I do and who I am. And I love having this in here because I had collected a couple of new ones. I had been obsessed with using this app called Planta, which I still to this day use, and I attribute the life of my plants to that app. It is a lifesaver, truly. And I just really love the way that this one came together, especially with the stamps and then coloring them in with some markers. It just was a lot of fun to make that one. Then I've got a story about visiting my grandparents-in-laws, so my husband's grandparents, who were in the process of packing up portions of their home to move to Connecticut, where they're living currently with my husband's aunt. They're just getting a little bit older in their years and need more help in terms of day-to-day life kind of stuff. So we had gone to go and see them and help them. And in doing so, found a bin of dominoes and just spent a good amount of time playing dominoes with the kids. Love these pictures and the perspectives of them. It just feels really kind of, I don't know, it feels very artistic to me. And so I wanted to have them in here, and there they are. Next, I have a story of going on a brunch date with Aaron. This was kind of random, a random thing that we did. And we dropped the kids off to their summer school. We didn't have to get back to work right away. So we were like, let's just go have brunch. Why not? And that's what we did. So love, love, love that. This would have been a Friday. Fridays here in our house are family movie nights. Most of the time, family movie nights happen at home, and we rotate who gets to pick the movie. This week we did something special and went to the movie theater instead to go see Lightyear. Lightyear had been out for a while at this point, but we just hadn't seen it. So we went to go see it. We really loved the movie. And so I wanted to make sure to get that one in here as well. This is another layout that I super love. It doesn't have like a title. A lot of my pages here have titles that kind of give you a little, you know, a little clue as to what the page is about. This one really doesn't, except for, I guess, Let's Do Summer. But what I wanted for this was to tell 5 different stories about playing in this blow up splash pad that we purchased in the backyard. So I have tons of pictures here. I pulled out the greens and the oranges from the pictures and then used those to stamp out the numbers 1 through 5, layered on top of that Let's Do Summer. So we kind of sort of have a title going on, kind of, but really I just love the way that the color flows around the page, and that this allowed me to get a lot more of the story told on this particular story as well. Then we've got a day that we went to the zoo. This would have also been the last day of Week in the Life, so Sunday. And I had a bunch of pictures from this one. We love going to the zoo. This is something we do all the time, typically once a month, although we've been kind of bad about it lately. But we usually go about once a month to the zoo and spend the day going on a glorified walk and spending time with the animals or with each other, really. It's really just to spend time with each other. So this one, loved it. I think it looks really cute. I like the black and the green with little pops of red. I think that was a wise choice in terms of ink colors. Then on June 27th, my mom invited me and the kids to go on this nature walk, or to this like nature preserve type of area where they had a center that you could go to, and it had lots of hands-on learning things and displays, and just a really cool nature center for the kids to go and visit. It also has a like real building, like livable one-room house that is a tree house that you can go and visit, which is super cool. And then we just ended up going on the nature trail, going for a hike. The last 2 layouts in this whole album were wrap-ups on my reading and my watching. I had originally planned to do this notebook for July and August and thought I would end them both in the same way. Didn't end up doing that. So instead we just have a reading recap for June and then a show recap for June as well. So I've got the 8 books that I read during the month of June, and then there's 3 movies and 2 shows that we also watched during the month of June. And that completes my stories for June. And the one thing I think about as I close this back up is just, you know, kind of a wow. Wow, that was a lot happening in 1 month. That was a lot going on in 1 month of time. But it's no wonder that by the end of the summer, we were all a little pooped out. And this definitely helps to explain why we might have felt that way, because it was just a jam-packed summer. Definitely a lot of fun, a lot of memories made. I'm so glad to have, you know, this month documented in this way. I do also document project life, and I have story albums and all kinds of things. So my stories are told from July and August, just not in this particular format. Would I do this again? As you may see, these layouts are very similar to what I am currently doing for my yearbook, because I loved the format of this. I loved the way that it looked. I loved the smaller sizes, using tiny pictures, using more stamping. I really enjoyed that and wanted to bring it into my weekly routine documenting. So yes, kind of. As a summer album like this, I think that it was a really fun project to do, but it was a lot, because that's a whole story for every day of the month, and not really feasible for me personally to do this the whole summer long. So as a 1 month project, I think that this would be a really fun thing to do, maybe for your birthday month, maybe for, you know, a holiday month. I think this could translate super well into a December daily or an October daily, something where you're deep diving into a specific month of the year. I think it would be super fun. And maybe that's potentially what I would do with it in 2023, is maybe consider something like this for October daily or for December daily, something that helps to pare it down to something a bit more simple, something a bit like thinner. But I don't think I'm going to do it for summer this year. I'm going to let summer just be in my other albums and live in what I've got currently in progress. The other thing I will say is you can see that whole month, I mean, there are 30 plus stories in this book, and it is very, very thin, right? It lays very flat, which I love about it. The way I accomplished that is I have hardly any paper in this, pattern paper. I have pattern paper here in the front, and I have pattern paper in the very back. The very last page has pattern paper. See if I can get to it right here. This is pattern paper. Everything else is not. It is stamping. It is stickers, like flat, not puffy stickers. Stickers. There are some wood embellishments, but again, very flat. There are some, like this is a, oh, what is that? It's like a fabric sticker, but again, very, very flat. I tried to keep as flat as I possibly could. There are some like sticker labels, die cuts. Those things work great in here. But in order to keep it as thin as I possibly could, not adding in additional paper was key for me. I did use sticker paper, clear matte sticker paper, to add in all of my journaling. It is also incredibly thin, so it does not bulk up the album. And I made sure to try and keep things fairly even. So as I worked through this album, let's say I stamped on this page, on this square. So then when I designed the next page, I needed a photo that was going to cover it because the ink would bleed through. But that's also if I'm doing photos here, and then on the next one, my photos are congregated into the middle, then it's going to give my whole page a fairly even thickness across the whole piece. So then when it lays flat together, it's not lumping in one of the corners or in the middle. It's maintained the same thickness throughout. So I guess those would be my tips if you're looking at doing an album like this. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed seeing this, the final reveal of this album, of this little notebook. I super love it. And I'm excited to see if it inspires you to try something like this too. If it does, let me know in the comments down below if this is something you would give a try to. If you are interested in the Mochi Things notebook, I do have a photo template available for purchase in my Etsy shop, and that is a template for Photoshop. So you can use the Photoshop program to add your photos into the squares in order to give you that perfect sizing. So all you have to do is cut them out and stick them down. That is available on my Etsy shop, but you don't have to have that to make something like this. You can cut things down. You can print them 4x6 and cut them down too. So, you know, you don't have to have that in order to make something like this. It just makes it a whole heck of a lot easier and faster. Okay, so yes, let me know in the comments if this is something you would consider giving a try, or if you've used a Mochi Things notebook as a scrapbook before. What was your experience like? What did you document with it? If you enjoyed this video, I would love a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel and you enjoyed this type of content, I hope you consider subscribing. Until next time, friends, I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye now.